Hello and welcome to another episode of The Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison and I'll be your host today. I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California on Friday, July 14th, 2017. How's everyone been? It is a beautiful summer day. I have the day off, which always makes my Fridays better. I have managed to do a few errands this morning, really just one major one. We did our annual vet visit with my cat, and she is not fond of change. She's especially not fond of the vets, so it's always slightly traumatic to get her to and from there, but we managed to do it, and she's getting up there. My cat is almost 14, but seems to be in pretty decent health. They are gonna do some blood work, senior blood work, just to make sure nothing is amiss, but she did hurt her leg a little this week, jumping up on the dresser, which has a basket that she likes to sleep in. I think she pulled her back leg, so she has been limping, but doctor said it looks fine. Just soft muscle to, just a strain. So it's gotten better even in the few days since. So that was my morning, and since then I've just sort of been puttering around, cleaning up, doing dishes, the stuff I usually do on a Saturday, but when it's Friday, I get to do it, so on my weekend, I totally get to enjoy it, which I love. Anyways, it has been a while since I shared what's been going on in my knitting life with you, so I thought I would make time to do that today. Let's start off with FOs. I have, two project FOs, but 4 major ones. First of all, my socks are done. I called these my speckled space socks. They were originally a pattern inspired by Amanda Stevens. Well, it was a speckled pattern, and then I made super modifications. So it had this kind of flying V, but then it had all of this purl stitches to make bumps and things like that, and I didn't do any of that. So now I just call it inspired by. And the yarn is 716, knits in the 716 Ghee in the Moo Goo Gay Starch colorway from Zombie and Apocalypse 2016. And then the heels and toes, the screen is from a mini skein from Zombie and Apocalypse that year, and I'm pretty sure Dramatic Knits did that skein. So loving them. I started these end of May, finished them in the beginning of July, so it took a while. I was originally trying to finish these as part of the Camp Wars for Zombie and Apocalypse, and I just didn't finish it in time. So, and I do have 2. This one I kind of put weird on the sock blocker, so you could see where my V's are, how they cross, sort of. There you go. And I just have it up the foot. The other thing I want to show you, which you probably see better in this, is I did the Miriam Felton new kind of short row heel, and you can see the stitches here. So basically it's almost like a gusset, and then you decrease faster right here to go back. And this just creates more right here because I tend to have a lot of stretch on my instep. I liked it. I think I did a few too many stitches. I have a little too much room now. So I think if I cut it down, I think I did I want to say 12 extra stitches, and it might not need to be that much. But overall, I'm happy. Did my typical socks, so they were, 300 and something yards. The main color was 300 yards, and then whatever the minis were. And I did my fish lips seal. So yeah, another pair of socks that's gonna stay on my sock blockers and go on my wall until I knit my next pair. The other thing I finished is technically 4 finished objects, but 1 finished project. I was making, if you're not aware, the Mother Bear Project is a project that sends knit bears to kids in Africa. It just gives them out to anyone who's been affected by a number of things, AIDS, probably maladies, whatever. The kids just need a toy. So there's this mother bear, and these are 2, 3, and 4. I've been making mother bears, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years. I try to do a few, and so these are all, it's a really simple pattern. As you can see, I crochet mine. I did a girl bear, so it's got like a skirt that comes off. This will actually come off. And then you just use worsted weight scraps. and different kind of weights. This was my Scrappy Bear, so this is all pretty much held double of different colors. And I made a bear. And then my yellow bear, which I really like, came up a little skinnier. And then this bear. All of them are random scraps that I can't remember what they are, except this color is Knitter's Nightmare. That was some scraps I had left over, I think, from a hat I did. So $5, you can buy the pattern, and then you mail the bears in or drop them off at a local donation center, whoever's taking them, with $3 to go for the shipping to Africa. And you do have to follow the pattern, and they have crocheted and knit in the round, in pieces, however you want to do it. I just like doing mine crochet, which is interesting. It's easier to pick up and put down, and once you get it, it's very simple. So these are my 4, and I'm going to enter these into the contest being hosted by the Two Knitlet Chicks for mother bears. They also are avid mother bear makers. They have done a lot more than me. But I'm happy with my 4, and this continues my goal of doing charity knitting. And so this was my second 30-year trimester, or quadrimester. What is 4 months? I'm blanking. Anyways, this was my middle project of the year, and now my charity project for towards the end of the year will be just some hats for charity, and I haven't decided what charity they're going to go to. So those are the only 2 finished objects I finished. Works in progress, I have a few. Let's start with my crackerjack socks. These are the socks I'm knitting for my boyfriend to commemorate the Dodgers. And basically what it is you pick a color, 4 colors in my case, blue for home wins, white for away wins, and then dark gray for away losses, and light gray for home losses. So this was through, I don't know, sometime in June. And basically I did 2 rows for each one. And it just kind of is a cool idea. I am a bit behind because I haven't cast on the second sock, and I should have, because the second sock sort of started June 28th. So a little bit behind. I'm just deciding to do the heels and toes in different grays. I think for the next sock I'll do a light gray toe, and so it'll be a dark gray heel. If you noticed, I haven't done the top. It's just waist yarn, and that's because I think I'm gonna hold out and see if they do any postseason. Yeah, most likely the Dodgers are doing really well, so they probably will go into postseason, and I sort of want to commemorate them. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the same color scheme, but I'm gonna purl it or something like that, or some kind of differentiate that. And that would also just make it a little taller. He does like tall socks, but because I was sticking with the half, this was as much as I got. And normally I would go to the heel before I start doing it, because he does like a taller sock. So that's the crackerjack socks. It's just the pattern itself is my typical, toe up, fishnets, kiss heel. And the other thing I'm doing is slipping. You can see I'm slipping the first stitch on either side, and that's kind of for the color switch. This is where my colors are switching, but because of the slip stitch and how I'm doing kind of this jogless, not really jogless, but because of how I'm switching my colors, it's noticeable, but it's like a design element, so I'm happy. And then all of my ends, I'm doing this kind of weaving in as I go that I showed you previously. So even though these ends are long, I really just have to trim them, and there's no ends to weave in. So that's working really well. I'm liking that a lot. It is making a lot of cutting, meaning there is going to be a lot of little pieces, but that's already all woven in. They're just long. I just have to trim them. So hopefully I will cast on for that second sock this weekend and try to catch up to where I should be. Now, excuse me for a minute. I'm going to grab my other project, which I left right over here. Back. All right, I want to show you my Sea Salt by Laura Ayler. And this is my Rhinebeck sweater. Now, I have it on 2 small needles, so I got to make sure not to pull it out, but woohoo! I have all this, the top part, and You can see the body. I would try it on, but again, I have it on too short a needle, so that makes it impossible. But this is the Sea Salt by Laura Ayler, and I'm doing this in Matosh DK in the Great Gray Owl. I am alternating, so I'm doing 2 rows of every color, and I'll kind of show you my insides. Show you my insides. The other interesting thing about this project is you actually start at one cuff, go all the way across, come down, and then pick up for the body, and I'll show you. But I wanted to show you the very neat line of my switching of colors, and it makes this cool line every 2 rows, except where I change colors right there. So I'm really liking that. I ended up bringing this with me to ZK, and I tried it on, and everyone likes it. Well, what they can see of it, they can only see the top, but I have picked up, and let's see if I can make one straight spot. So it kind of makes a little braid, and right now you pick up more stitches and quickly decrease down, and then knit straight to the bigger part of the bust, which I've done, and I'm just about to start doing some decreases after the biggest part of my bust. Does call for some waist increases later on. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them. I'm thinking I want a looser sweater, but I'm going to wait to see how I get there. But I'm doing pretty well for a Rhinebeck sweater. I have what, August, September, almost 3 months left, so I think I will do well on getting that done. I'm glad I started early, since it's already been over a month. I finished probably half of it. Based on the 6 skeins, I've gone through 3 full skeins. So that's the Sea Salt by Laura Ayler. It's a great sweater. Check it out. Very comfy. Another project I'm knitting on, I'm not knitting on, sorry, slip of the tongue, crocheting on. And I am doing the krytron. It's like a citron, but crochet. So I'm not sure how the crochet, but basically it's like a citron with an extra R, so we'll call it krytron. And I'm doing this, you can see it's actually, you know, I don't know if the front and back really matter, but that's what I have so far. And I'm doing this in lace held double on a G, which I think is a 4.0, 4.5. And I've got 3 little sections, so not too much yet, but I'm doing this on some Silk Whisper I have from, I'm not even sure, I picked this up forever ago, and holding it with scraps of yarn that I had from Sheep Dreamery from ZK. Now, I'm running through the scraps kind of quickly. I'm wondering if I'm going to run out of the scraps before I finish the main color. So I'll sort of be playing with it by ear. But I'm liking it. It's really easy to pick up and put down crochet. The pattern is really easy, and I think it does give you the kind of the, you know, the citron look that I miss in my first original citron that I lost in Vegas a few years ago. So it's a nice project to have, and you know, crochet is really easy in terms of travel because it doesn't require as much motion with the arms. So I like to bring it. And you know, I like to do other crafts, so that's the Krytron. And oh, I didn't say who that was by. It's by Martha Simonson, and it is a free pattern. It's totally inspired by the citron from Knitty, and she freely says that. The Sea Salt is a paid pattern, but it's great. Lots of sizings, and I'm pretty pleased with the construction and the writing of it. Oh, one more pair of socks. Like, is that it? So I finished, or was about to finish. I had just the top edging of my speckled socks, and I was going somewhere where I thought I was going to be able to knit. So I was like, I gotta bring another sock. So I went into my stash, and I was specifically looking for something I could do vanilla, which to me, vanilla usually means stripes. So with that in mind, and then going back, I try to pick from my oldest sock yarn. I had a few skeins, and I ended up picking this. It is Canon Hand Dyes and Falls of the King self-striping, and I think I picked this up in Rhinebeck not last year, maybe the year before that. I don't know. But it's one of my older sock yarns because I go through sock yarn pretty fast. So yeah, and these are going to be for my boyfriend. I love the colors. I love the stripes. I'm not too far in. As you see, I sort of just finished the toe. And what I think I'm going to do with this, because I don't want to mess up the striping sequence, even to take yarn from the other end, because this yarn has 395 yards, so a little bit less. Not that I anticipate not being able to do it, but I skeined up some yellow from Invictus that I got in her jewel tone. And that will go great, and that's what I'm going to do for my heel. Just for the heel, I think, though. Maybe the top of the sock, depending on what I have. But I felt like doing the toe in the multicolor. So those are in my sock bag and my purse, and kind of my pick up and do whenever I can, because it is just generic knitting. So that is all I have on the needles and off the needles right now. Sorry, I'm just moving stuff so I can get into a bag of goodiness. So since I last talked to you, I went to ZK, Zombie and Apocalypse 2017 in Rochester, Minnesota. Yeah. With friends. It was good. I had a bunch of friends that I only see at retreats usually, and it was really good to see them. And there's, you know, a good group of us who've been going for a number of years, so it was a lot of fun. Got there on Wednesday, left on Sunday, had a room in the hotel this year, which was nice, and just spent a lot of time knitting. The weather was decent. There were some rainy days, but nothing crazy. And I just did a lot of hanging out and knitting and shopping. So I'm gonna sort of show you a few of the recent purchases that I got there. Well, the first one is tangentially ZK. This update happened while I was at ZK, so I bought it. And Fat Squirrel did an update while I was at ZK with this bee fabric, and I loved it. I love the color of it, and I don't have one of her smaller bags. I think she considers this like a sock bag, though I would consider it like a small medium project bag. And yeah, so not from ZK, but I ordered it while I was at ZK, and it came afterwards, so I thought I would show it to you, and it's at the top of my bag. The rest of this is from the market or from goodie bags. So I'm going to just highlight a few things. One, sorry, it's going to be some crinkling. I haven't opened this yet, which I'm going to right now. In the goodie bag, they had a cute little project bag, and this is the ZK logo this year, and it's from Silver Shed, which is a great bag maker. Also happens to be Amy's mom. And they did all these bags that all the same outside fabric and then all different colors inside. And mine is blue, and it has this little drawstring at the top. And then it's a single one, so you can kind of hang it off. And I loved it. So I'm opening it for you, and I'm going to take it out and start using it. The other bag I picked up was from the awesome Jenny from Kitchen Counter Crafter. She's Java Jenny, and I have some other miscellaneous stuff in here. But yeah, pumpkins. I love pumpkins. You can see behind me right here. It's part of my little pumpkin collection. I buy little pumpkins just for the heck of it. And so I got a pumpkin bag. In the pumpkin bag is some of the goodies that were in the goodie bag. Some minis, this cool little flashlight, some random needles that were awesome. And this, some other random things. So those are my bags. What else? I'm going to go right into the yarn, and I'm going to show it to you in batches, because as you do when you go to a knitting retreat, you are inspired by other people's knits. And I never really wanted to do the find your fade until I saw it. I saw some people and they looked impressive. So I was like, all right, I didn't have a goal for market, and so I decided I was going to find speckly stuff. So I'm trying to kind of, I wasn't entirely successful of getting everything for your find your fade. I have some things that I'm going to do with others, but so these three go together. and kind of, this is 716 Knits. This is Suburban Stitcher, and her yarn, beautiful. You're not aware, she has a podcast and she's been making beautiful bags for a few years, and this, I think it was this past year, she started doing yarns and she was a vendor there, and her yarn, scrumptious. And then this was Show Me Yarn, and I got it to match the other two. So these, with maybe one more skein that I might have in my stash of purple, are gonna be some type of fade project. Not necessarily Stephen West, find your fade. Another two that I like together, and these are both 716 Knit, are these ones. They need some green or something to go with it, so not sure what that's gonna be. All of these are fingering weight. That's all I got this year. Picked up another self-striping, and this is Show Me Yarns, and I think it's the Float Trip, and this was intended, this will be another skein to go into my stash, probably for my boyfriend. I like the greens and the blues. I did fall down, and I'm going to be making this Sophagai t-shirt. No, this is a Asagi t-shirt, which my friend Martha Knitcrit, who is my inspiration for projects these days, because sea salt was her fault too. She had this cute t-shirt, and a bunch of her crowd made them last year, I think, for Maryland. And everyone makes it out of this yarn by Jill Draper that 716 Knits had in her truck, and it's the Asopus, and it's 500 yards of yarn and this beautiful green colorway, and this will be enough to do that t-shirt. So pick that up. And this was another kind of random that I really like, though it might join my speckle or it might join socks. Another Suburban Stitcher, what does she call this? Granny Square. I just liked it. The last one I have is really from the goodie bag. Now the goodie bag was awesome. There was a campfire theme this year, so they had divided people who wanted to kind of play into the red team, purple team, and blue team, and you wear knit things as we go to try to, you know, have your team win. One team blew everyone out of the water. It was not my team. I was the red team. But they gave certain dyers kind of just those general color scheme, and they came up with different things. I was lucky enough to get a set of 3. I actually got 716 Knits, and it came up with 3 mini skeins. This is one of them. Now, as the generosity of people won other door prizes and sent me home with some door prizes to give to our friend Priscilla, who wasn't able to make it. And so as part of that, I have the rest of these in her bag. But we also got 3 Irish girls, and she did these. So this is kind of the blue, I think this is the red, and this is intended to be the purple. But isn't that a great kind of gradient? And then I pulled one of the ones from 716 Knits, and so this is gonna be like a 4 gradient right here. Blue's not usually my color, but I'm really kind of, like I said, excited by the gradient thing. And the last skein I picked because I just love these colors, and I was supporting a dyer I'd never heard of, was Abreu City Yarns, and this kind of oranges and yellows, Feliz Leo, and I don't know what it'll be. It's just my colors. So that's what I came home with, and I'm really excited. I have a lot of things in my favorites and in my queues for some of these fade shawls. Some of them Stephen West, some of them, I forget who the other designer is, that I favorited a few of their shawls. Not sure when I'm going to start them. Soon, at least one of them. But I want to get through some of my ongoing whips, because I have, what, 4 on the needles, and that's too much. Not to mention my blankets, which you don't hear me mentioning because they haven't been pulled out in a while. Probably won't get pulled out again until August, September for one of them. But that's okay. They're long term. I'll show you when I start working on them again. So that's all the stash enhancement I have. What else have I been doing? I had my nephew, my almost 16-year-old nephew, who turned 16 this coming Sunday, come out for 9 days. And I had all these good plans of all the stuff we were gonna do, and then that didn't really happen. He came out on July 1st or 2nd, and right that day, the boyfriend came down with a bad case of the flu, fever, chills, wasn't out of bed. So some plans we had made got pushed back while I took care of him. And then for the 4th of July, we went to see a movie, Transformers. Not a great movie, but we saw it at the Man Chinese Theater, which I love that theater. It's a theater in Hollywood that used to host like movie premieres for the movies in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or even earlier, and still hosts premieres. There were 10 people on July 4th in our theater that seats, I think, 1,200. So, needless to say, beautiful theater, good seats. Then we were in a heat wave. We had a heat wave in Los Angeles area. And so I had the crazy idea. I wanted to take him to Magic Mountain, which is a theme park with lots of roller coasters. And we went on a Friday that I was off, and it was 106 out. And I thought, well, that will keep people away from the lines, which it did. There weren't that many lines, but it was too hot for this girl. This girl gets super red in the heat, and after like 3 hours, I was getting a little bit of heat exhaustion. There weren't enough places to get out of the heat there to cool down in between. So yeah, it was nice to walk on rides, but waiting in line for the few rides we had, or even riding the rides, there's nothing like hot air. And when we got to the other side of the park, I hadn't been to Magic Mountain in a few years, and so one of the new rides that I wanted to ride was Twisted Colossus. And we got there to get in line, and they said, it's closed because it's too hot. And there's another ride right there next to it. Oh, that's closed too because it's too hot. I took that as a sign. It was time to go home. So after 3.5 hours and 5 roller coaster rides, or 6, we booked it. And the rest of the weekend sort of hibernated inside, played some board games, watched some movies. So it was not a jam-packed week like Auntie Allie likes to provide. He spent a lot of time hanging out in the spare bedroom I have, so much because of what was going on. Earlier in the week when the boyfriend was sick, I went and bought a TV from Best Buy so that he had brought his gaming system so he could hook it up to there. And yeah, he sort of just hung out, which my family assures me is something he loves to do, so hopefully he still enjoyed it. And then I stuck him on the plane this week, Monday. Another thing that's sort of been going on, I'm going to touch upon, is my dad was really sick right before my nephew came, to the point where there was serious thought of me flying out there because he might not make it. My dad has a chronic illness, and so we do know that time is limited. But what happened, and why I kind of want to push it there, is, take the opportunity to see your family when you can. Luckily, he did pull out of it and is recovering, but it just sort of gave me a wake-up call that I need to make the time to go see my family, especially my dad, while I can. So I am canceling a trip I was going to Vegas at the end of the month, and instead I'm going to go out and see my dad. So that will be fun. My niece is looking forward to seeing me. She was very, 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 very upset when she learned her brother was coming without her this year. So I'm sure I'll hear about it when I see her. That's sort of what's been going on. Work is getting busy. My new project is starting up. Hopefully getting into the full throes of it in the next week or two. I'll be setting my new office up out on the job site and stuff like that. So that's good. My other project that I should have been done has some serious challenges. So that's always fun too. Challenges in construction. But I am looking forward, as I said, to some upcoming trips. So I will be going and seeing my entire family. So except my sister, who's going to be in Vegas, which is why I was going to Vegas. So, but I'll get to see my mom and my niece and my nephew again, and my dad and my brother and his girlfriend. So we're going a quick trip. We're flying out like on a Thursday and flying back on, I think, like a Monday morning or something. So just a few days. Then the next big trip I have with all of the family, except my dad, who is not, his health doesn't permit him to go, but we're doing a family vacation in Florida to see my grandmother and my uncles down there. So that's for a full week in August. Awesome. And then the next thing I have is the Fall Fling with the Loop View, first week of October with my mom. Really excited. And then, of course, Rhinebeck. Super excited about Rhinebeck. That's why I'm doing my Rhinebeck sweater. So that's sort of what's been going on in my life, and I'm gonna, for the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna try to get some of these whips off. I think I'm gonna try to figure out what faded type shawl I want to do, and get some of this yarn I just bought on the needles, which will be exciting. And yeah, keep trucking along. Trying to stay cool. It's been a little warm here. We're into like the throes of summer where it never gets super cool, which, you know, always good. Thank goodness for AC. Let's just say that. And that's kind of all I got for you. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful summer. Hope everyone in the States had a wonderful 4th of July. The next major holiday is what? Labor Day? I'll be back before Labor Day. That I do know. I'll be back in a few weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, with another podcast to let you know what I'm doing, what I'm up to. So until then, though, I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful summer. And that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.